Hey, what up though fam? It's your boy Eki here, and welcome to this episode of Breakdown. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to all these videos here on my YouTube channel. And also don't forget to check out w.gg for W Energy Drinks using code EKAMUSIC for 10% off your entire purchase. Really cool stuff. Link to the W website will be in the description below. And also, before we get into this episode, I just want to quickly announce that I also just released my latest collab with my homie Jaisto. Our song Springwood Slasher is now available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube Music, the whole shebang. Go check it out, like it, share it, repost it, show all your friends, play it out. It's also available for free download, so any likes, any reposts, any downloads would be greatly appreciated, fam. Thank you so much. So in this episode, I got to break down one of another favorite songs of mine I did off of my Wook Wood EP called Swish Swish Stab. Swish Swish Stab was a really fun tune to make. I had a lot of fun with it. I also got to sample one of my favorite internet shows called Red vs. Blue from Rooster Teeth, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it, fam. So here it is. This is the project file for Swish Swish Stab. So looks very, very minimalistic, and it is. But granted, most rhythm is already just very, very super just minimalistic as it is. So we're gonna go over it, break it down track by track, sound by sound, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So let's go ahead and peep game. Let's take a listen. Come on, work for me. There we go. By the way, fam, if you have smokes, if you have drinks, go ahead and get your drinks out. Light up your joints, light up your bowl, whatever it is. Let's go ahead and kick back for a little bit.
Screw it. You guys get behind me and stay tight.
Not drinking Bow Wow.
Never mind. Tucker's in front.
It was worth it. Do you know how to use that thing? My sword? Fuck yeah, I know how to use it. What's to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude. It's not a fighter jet. Oh my god. Yeah, abracadabra, you're an idiot. Look, they left me in charge of planning the campaign against the UNSC.
That's a video game.
What? No, it's a tactics simulator. Look, advanced military stuff.
That's a video game, Tucker.
Huh. Well, I guess that explains the microtransactions. Do you know how to use that thing? My sword? Fuck yeah, I know how to use it. What's to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude. It's a fucking sword, dude. It's not a fighter jet. Oh my god. Is that you? The teleporter sent me back in time. What? Another one bites the dust. Oh, yeah. Another one gone. Another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Oh, yeah. Ooh, we kicked your ass, bitch.
Get down with your bad self.
Get down with your bad self. Oh man, this brought me back. So yeah, as I said, very, 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 very minimal. Not a lot going on here, but it's still pretty awesome. It's still pretty fun. So let's go ahead and break this whole thing down, shall we? So let's go ahead and start off with the intro. Intro, there's really not much going on, as you can see here. Really not much at all. So literally all we have here is a serum patch here, and this is actually a stock patch. So with that being said, this is a patch that was already preloaded into serum. So I was kind of just going through the presets, seeing there's something that I could work with, reverse engineer, warp around or something, whatever the case. So going through, and I kind of got to this the little like bleep boop intro that you see here. Come on, there, where it is? Where is it? Oh, there you are. And then blinky, there you are. So this is what we have here for the intro.
Screw it.
So yeah, like I said, super, nothing too crazy. And it's a whole sequence too, so as you see, it's just sustained notes, right? But if I were to... So that's the whole sequence right there, right? Yeah, let me pull up the serum patch so you can see it better. Watch this part right here. So you see it's still... So this is the main thing that you're hearing right here. These are the plucks that you hear. But what I did is I basically just switched it up from C to, what was it? C sharp to D sharp? Yep. Then to D sharp. And if you look right here on the keyboard, right here, you see the notes being played out. So literally, that's it. And then after I threw that bitch in there, I just threw a little Fat Filter Pro Q3. Normally, I would just be using EQ8 because it takes up less CPU. But for this, since there was already not much going on, I figured, what the hell. So all I really did was just threw a nice little valley, nice little dip right here, right, to kind of just bring that high frequency down a little bit, because this is that it. You won't be able to tell that much if you don't have like really good speakers or good headphones, but yeah. And then with the EQ on, it's just more gentler. The frequencies that were coming up here, super sharp.
Screw it.
And then, like you just heard, all that comes next is just a hi-hat ride pattern that I made here.
Screw it. You guys get behind me.
But if you notice right here on the hi-hat itself, here, let me do this.
Screw it. You guys get behind.
You see how it's soft, but then every even number hit, so on the 2 and the 4, if you look right here on the bottom line, you see how the 2 and the 4s are always super bright white, whereas everything else in front and afterwards is kind of grayish. So what I did here is I turned the initial velocity down for each of those notes that it's not on the 2 and the 4, to kind of give it that more realistic vibe to it. Just to kind of give it that more of a bounce, more of a groove type of thing. And then all I did afterwards was just add two different rides. So I have a soft 808 ride, which is what you're hearing for the most part consistently. And then on top of that, on the 2s and 4s, following with the hi-hat as well to give it more accent. And then when you add it with the hi-hat. And then after that, we bring in just a clap. And all that is on the last one, it's just automation on the reverb. That kind of has more like a gunshot type of effect, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, we just have the vocals. The vocals I ripped from a video that I found on YouTube. It was a Red vs. Blue compilation of Tucker, which is one of the characters in Red vs. Blue. Tucker's top 10 quotes that he said throughout the entire show. And all of them were basically everything that I damn near wanted to sample. So I'm like, fuck it, this is the perfect video. So the first vocal that we hear.
Screw it. You guys get behind me and stay tight.
Bow wow.
And then.
Never mind. Tucker's in front.
It was worth it.
And then right after, it kind of breaks down after that last clap.
Do you know how to use that thing? My sword? Fuck yeah, I know how to use it. What's to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude.
What's not there to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude. So yeah, that's the intro. Just those 16 bars. And this is legitimately just following like your standard old school OG written formula. 16 bar intro, interlude, build up, breakdown type of thing, and then it goes into the drop. And then the drop can be anywhere from like 32, 48, whatever, as long as you write in 8s or in 4s. I always work drum when I'm trying to watch you stream. Well, shit, it happens, shit happens. But and then yeah, so the drop, it's 420, man. All right, I got you. Just had to take a sip of that W. But yeah, so rhythm normally is 16 bar or 8 bar intro, 8 bar like instrumental into like build up breakdown type of thing, normally like old school, like the old school formula. And then like 32 to 64 long bar drop. And yeah, it goes back to another 16 breakdown interlude type of thing, and then back into the drop. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to follow that specifically, but because I make primarily and spin primarily, that old school, early rhythm. It's the type of formula that I kind of stick with because if it ain't broke, then ain't no need to fix it. Got you right here, Brenny. So you're redeeming the 420 reward. I got you, boy. You know how we do. You know how we do. Alright, so yeah, after the intro, let's go ahead and get into the drop. Let's do this. Now we can see it better. Alright, to you, Brony, fam, everyone out there. Cheers. Hey, Junior. What's good, fam? Thanks for the follow, fam. Much love. Appreciate the support and follow, fam. Thank you. Hell yeah. Excuse me. Ooh. Hey. Thank you again for the follow, buddy. Appreciate you. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the drop. So after the vocal, what's there not to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude. There's that, and then we have. Oh, hold on, let's do it this way.
It's not a fighter jet.
It's not a fighter jet. All right, so that's pretty much the whole gist of the drop right there. But let me play just a little bit more of it. It's not a fighter jet. So yeah, that's it by itself with the sub on. But let's go ahead and turn the sub off real quick. So yeah, let's go ahead and break down the first layer, this yellow track right over here. So this sound, this was a really fun one to make. This one was really fun. This one's kind of like my attempt at an Achios Jub Wub Yonk Stab type of sound. All right, so let's go ahead and break this sound down a little bit, huh? So this source right here, LFO1, we send it to the warp and volume of oscillator A, right? We could barely see it, but it's that light blue notch right here. Very, very little there, but it's just enough to kind of bring in the FN from B, which then B is also blending these two, attempting to blend these two together. So with the level being automated with this, we also bring in the automation control into the wave-tail positioning in the D tune, also on the finesse bar on the fine modulation right here. And that's just the fine tuning, so it just gives it that extra harmonic pitch to it. As we already brought it up an octave, and we brought this unison down to 1, this unison up to 5, it's giving us different harmonics and different voicings on it. So that way, kind of gives us that sound, that kind of voicing behind it. Yoink 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 yoink. A lot of these sounds are basically just essences of and the principle of formant filters being pushed together. When you have a formant filter being pushed in, what that's doing is taking two points of frequencies and pushing them up high, and then pushing them together. So it's making that yoink 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 while being pushed in, and then rapidly being pushed back out. It's weird, but it's super fun. Yeah, I just kind of nerded out for a little bit to you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope that made sense. So on top of that, we also sent LFO1 to the cutoff, to the filter cutoff knob, as well as the level cutoff knob, and I think I also sent it to some to the FX. Yeah, there they are. Distortion drive to, and what the distortion is doing is just making it a little more fuzzier, giving it more meat, giving it more beef. In the phaser, it's just kind of making it giving it more of that weird sound. Yeah. So that's how we have the sound. Let me go ahead and turn all this off so that we can hear it raw. Because when you hear it raw, it's nice. Sounds cool, right? So what I did here is I brought in a Faturator. And what Faturator is, it's basically a kilohertz sounds version of a saturator. So all I did is I just gave it a little more color, a little more drive, a little more fuzz, and kind of pushed it a little towards the left a little bit. So we heard it without it. now with it. And all that's really doing is just giving it more color. It's giving the mids and the high mid frequency sounds, frequencies in this sound more color. So it's kind of pushing it through the mix. After that, I brought in a FabFilter Pro Q3. Everything is being shifted over here for some reason. I don't understand. This gets a little more complex as far as the EQing goes. That was weird. Let me just go ahead and save that. Come on. Come on. Work for me. Stop it. There we go. So yeah, as you see, all we're doing here is with this first point here, how it slopes off at about 132, 133. So what that's doing is that's cutting off everything right here. All that stuff that you saw right here, that's being completely cut off now. So that's giving us room for the sub bass, so that way it can be heard more clearly and felt more clearly. And then here I just threw 2 dips just to bring down some of the harsher frequencies, so that way when I mixed everything together with the layers, it all sounded cohesive together. Excuse me. Hydration check. Be sure to stay hydrated. Appreciate you, Brony, for plugging that Discord link in there, fam. Thank you. Much love. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And that's how we kind of have, and then we in here, I'll explain that in a bit actually, screw it. The next layer that we have is this layer here. This one was pretty fun. This one is a little stabby one that I made called Stabby. Where are you? Over here, because I knew you pop up over there. And this is literally just a kind of a weird one that I made, but yet it's still kind of super simple. Everything, there's a lot. LFO1's doing pretty much everything, as you see. So the stabby one, we start off with the wavetable Debussy. It's what's funny. I don't know why. It's like the one wavetable in Serum that I use every fucking time, and I still laugh when I say it out loud or when I just look and see it. Alright, so the wavetable that I'm going to use today, Debussy. Don't mind me, I'm still an immature child. So we take the Debussy wavetable. We take the octaves down 2, right? Throw the unison up 2. And what that's doing is that's creating multiple two voices within the same sound. That way it gives it more girth. And so then with hear my door creaking open. I think it's just the wind blowing through in the AC and all that. And then as you see in oscillator B, it's not on, but yet there's still a little something there. So what I did is I turned it on and then turned it off, so that way I still have oscillator B still being sent in through here. Or excuse me, being sent through oscillator B. Excuse me. It's kind of like a ghost effect, like ghost sidechain effect, if you will. So LFO1, as you see, is being sent to the pitch here on the noise with electric bubbles. Just because Debussy and electric bubbles just works naturally, you know. We have it on the level on full, a little bit on the wavetable, a little bit on the PWM. I never understood what PWM means in Serum, by the way, so if anybody out there knows what that means, feel free to let me know, so that way I can explain it next time. Yeah, and then full on the knob, full on the warp for FM from A, full on the level for oscillator B, full on the cutoff, but as you see, it's kind of stuck in the middle here. So as you see, it kind of bounces here, then back, and then back up. And then if we go into effects, we also see it on the distortion again, on the depth of the phaser, on the cutoff of the filter, and then I think that's it. Oh nope, on the mix of the reverb. And what the reverb is doing is just basically just widening the making it sending the signal out a little wider by reverberating. Hence the name reverb. So yeah, when you have them layered together now, it's kind of more of a squelchy, stabby, stompy, wonky, stonky type of thing. Oh, I didn't realize I turned everything off still. We still got to go through the processing of both of these. So let's finish the processing of this. I am severely stoned, fam. I am so sorry. So after we put the Pro Q3 on the original sound up here, we threw an OTT. It's gonna pop up over here. Why the hell is it all the way over here? All right. Hey, I gotta turn it on. Ah, sorry, fam. So, what that's doing is, let me do it like that for now. So what we got here is, we got the time pushed up to 1,000. We turned the lows off, and then turned the highs down a little bit, and then just gave it a little more gain to kind of give it more stance. And then it was kind of screeching, as you can see. It's kind of like had this like ringing tone through, so that's why I have the auto filter on to kind of bring that down just a little bit. And then here, we have an auto pan. So what this is doing is it's casually setting it from left to right to left to right. So if you have like really good headphones, you'll be able to hear it slightly go side to side. Kind of bouncing around side to side, if you will. So yeah, that's it for that. So let's go into the processing for this son of a bitch. So we got another instance of kilohertz fat trader. But this one we're just giving it more color, and we're shifting this one to the right a little bit more. And then with Fat Filter Pro Q3, very similar, very similar. So you see how originally it was peaking right up here? We want to bring it down a little here. See what I mean? And then after that, we just throw a little OTT onto it. And all I'm really doing is just pushing the mids up more. That's it. Yeah, like I said, that's pretty much it. Very minimal, super minimal. Yeah. And then with the so let's go ahead and get into the sub. Actually, more so the switch up real quick. Let's do the switch up. Switch up. We'll switch it up around with the switch up. So the switch up, what we got here is just a little double time rhythm progression. So as we heard in the beginning, bum 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 bum. Those are quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. kind of just riding on the beat. So now we're going to go from that 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's double timing it into eighth notes. See what I mean now? Double time. Yeah. So if we look here, we mainly have quarter notes. It's kind of stretched out a little bit just to kind of give it the add extra tail. But even here, for example, quarter notes, and then here, eighth notes. So quarter notes are normally goes up that is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. This section right here, that would normally be a quarter note. An eighth note is half of that. So that's essentially what we have here. Quarter note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. So, or as I mentioned, double time. So, with the sense and arrange in the drop as such, as we have here, this is our sub side chaining right here. Excuse me. Need some more water. There we go. So, the sub bass, as you see, follows the same notes: C sharp, F, D sharp. But instead of side chaining the sub directly to the sense here, what I did is created a similar pattern using a reverse kick. So as you see, I had the original arrangement here, duplicated it, and then consolidated it so that way it's all one clip. So the bass that you hear is sidechained to the reverse kick. I messed up. Oh, that's right. This isn't the final version. That's where I made the correction. So my process, by the way, with that to put that in context, I save multiple versions of each track as it gets closer and closer to finished. But I moved that one to my extended drive that's not plugged in at the moment. So this is I think it's like the second draft before the final draft before it gets sent to mastering. So yeah, there's some errors here, but as you see, we fixed them. So go ahead and save that real quick. But like I said, that's the sub bass, and then let me go and show you the sub bass over here. As you see, the sub bass is basically mimicking the same thing that we have up here. You won't be able to really hear it unless you have really good headphones or have like decent speakers or whatever. But yeah, same thing. Yeah. So let's go ahead, and before we continue on to the next section, let's go ahead and break down the drums. Nothing too much crazy with the drums, really. It's just kind of the simple stuff that I was doing wrong, essentially. But let's go ahead and just break it down. So what I did here this time, different from before, was this is kind of like an experimentation type of thing that I was doing here. So I was essentially experimenting with sidechaining each drum track individually, and it kind of gave me the results I was looking for, which is pretty cool. As we hear the drop again.
It's not a fighter jet.
Oh, oops. I forgot I had the sub muted.
It's not a fighter jet.
So, the first drum here is same drum that I always use. This guy right here. Oh yeah, sidechain's on. This kick here. There we go. So with that kick, I also put on Ableton's drum bus to kind of beef it up a little bit. So we gave it 15% on the crunch, returned the damp all the way, and that's pretty much it. And then in here on the Fat Filter Pro Q3, we gave it a shelf at 36 dB per octave, which gives it that more kind of a brick wall like shelf here. We put it at about 78.5, basically around 80 hertz, and we boosted about 485 to almost 500 right here in this range, just kind of giving us more beef. And oops, so that way it kind of pushes through a little more, you know what I mean. And then after that, that's when we threw on the sidechain. And we sidechain, and then what I was experimenting with here as well is sidechaining the whole group, that it also included the sub. So the whole group here is all of my bass synths, including the sub bass. And as you heard in the original and in the master, yeah, came through decently. So what I did is I also layered another kick down here though. But however, this isn't sidechained because because there's already a kick sidechain, so this was just going to be layered in essentially. So when I have it without it, when I turn the sidechain off, it kind of gives it more of a boom. You know what I mean? But all I really did with this was nothing, as you saw, just as is. And that right there is just getting a little cake roll. Do 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 do. And then right in between all that, we have our clap. And our clap is just the standard little clap here. And what we did here was with the drum bus, we turned the crunch up to 27%, so we gave it a little more crunch, damp up as well. And then with the EQ, here's the EQ right here. Same shelf, but we brought it down a little bit, right? Just brought it down just a wee bit till right here. Gives it a smoother curve. And then made a nice wide dip here. So that way it kind of just pulls it down a little bit more. So that way it's not so sharp. And in the master, it just got cleaned up and just got EQ'd a little better. So yeah, sorry, it sounds like shit. But yeah, so that's the drums, and then the hi-hat pattern is pretty much the same as the intro that you heard. So as you hear that little do-do-do-do, kind of comes through every so often. And yeah, that's the first drop right there. And then we just have vocal samples come through every so often, like right here.
Oh my
For those of you who have listened to my mixes and have heard me spin this, normally this is doubled up with the song "Like Ah" by Zumba, but by Bomber, but the Zuba remix. So normally when you hear,
Oh my god.
punch in the face like, and then yeah. I love double dropping that with this. It just works so fucking well. And then towards the end, instead of continuing it on, I decided to play around with it a little bit and kind of fuck y'all up with just having a vocal sample come in saying,
Yeah, abracadabra, you're an idiot.
Before we continue on with this though, hold on fam, I need to go use the restroom. So, we shall be right back. I have returned. I had to use the lavatory real quick. This damn thing's tangled around my foot. There we go. I have a really long cable. Hi. Hello. I have returned. Alright. Huh. Alright. So, now that we have the vocal saying... Ah, come on.
Yeah, abracadabra, you're an idiot.
It just kind of goes right back into the intro.
Yeah, abracadabra, you're an idiot. Look, they left me in charge of planning the campaign against the UNFC.
So instead of sticking with the traditional 16 drop, then 16, I switched it up and just gave it an 8-bar interlude into the next drop, and the drop was longer in this one. Question, sir. We have a question on the board. Question on the board. And let's see, the question is, do you understand how to swish, swish, stab? What's there not understand about swish, swish, stab? It's a fucking sword, dude, not a fighter jet. So yeah, anyways, back to this. So after the vocal saying abracadabra, you're an idiot, it goes right back into the interlude type of thing. And then we have the vocal come back in.
Look, they left me in charge of planning the campaign against the UNFC.
That's a video game.
What? No, it's a tactics simulator. Look, advanced military stuff.
That's a video game, Tucker.
Huh. Well, I guess that explains the microtransactions. Do you know how to use that thing? My sword? Fuck yeah, I know how to use it. What's to understand about Swish Swish Stab? It's a fucking sword, dude.
Yeah, it's a fucking sword, dude. Excuse me. Yeah, so the interlude is pretty much same shit, just different vocal. But instead of continuing it on for another 8 and into the next drop, I decided to keep it short and cut that in half and just stick it with with an 8-bar interlude instead of 16. To me, it just felt like it was better in a sense. Better for the song, better for the vibe. Yeah. So after that, we play around with the arrangement of the drums because of how it switches up throughout the track. Yeah. So after the vocal,
Swish Stab. It's a fucking sword.
let me beat the drums real quick.
Swish Stab. It's a fucking sword, dude. It's a fucking sword, dude. It's not a fighter jet.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my face plant has not been working the past few months, so you don't hear this nice little warbly garage bass that I made in face plant. It's just a little worm, 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 worm. As you see in the notes here, it's just hitting. It's just on the offbeat. Really, that's all it is. Worm, 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 worm. That's all it's really doing. And then here it's just worm, 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 worm. Just continuing on with the along with the switch up. But what we did also with the switch up here that we mainly heard that we can kind of go over is this little section right here. Do you guys hear that, by the way? Do you guys hear it going side to side? Can we watch Red versus Blue later? Down. It's always a good show to watch. But do you guys hear that that sound going side to side at all? Cool, right? So, how did I do it? Let's go ahead and break it down. So, first things first, what I did is took let's go ahead and turn everything off first. Let's do this. Let's do it just like that. So what I did before I did anything, this is the sound as it is right here. Pretty harsh, pretty weird, right? It's kind of like a telephone. Hello? 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 Alright, I'm done. I'm an idiot. So what I did here is the first thing I did was I sidechained this to the stabby sound here. Just because I felt like the signal was more consistent, it was more stable. So turned it on, set it as so. I just fucked with the hold automation here just a little bit. But that's only on the second section right here. That's really it. But throughout everything, it's pretty consistent. So with it being sidechained to the via the stabby sound here, we get it when both of those combined. It sounds like this. Sounds cool, right? But we still got a little more ways to go. So after that, I brought in my Fat Filter Pro Q3 over here, and just did some very minimal EQ in here. All I did was make another 36 decibel per octave shelf here, brought it to a little over 140 hertz, and then just dropped the harshness of the high frequencies down a little bit. So now we have it sounding like this. Not as harsh, right? So then what we did was what we decided to do here is I decided to disperse that intensity and that tonality all over the stereo field. So we brought in an auto pan, and I put in a sine wave, and then make it more of a rounded square shape, and kind of inverted the sound waves, inverted the pattern of inverted the signal pattern a little bit. So that's how we have it going from straight to this. And again, if you have really good headphones or on like studio monitors, or just have at least a pair of headphones on, or a really good pair of studio headphones on, you'll hear it. But essentially, it's just kind of going back and forth. And then here with the kilohertz stereo plugin, all I did really was just kind of gave it a little more width, and that's really it. And as you see, like it says here, this knob here, adjust the stereo width. The input audio must have at least a little stereo information for this knob to do anything. With the mid knob here, I turn it up all the way, and it's just adjust the grain of the model content. So even though it was already being pushed to stereo, there's still some mono signal in there. So this is just adjusting the gain of that middle signal coming through in between each time it gets sent to the left or to the right, kind of pushing that through, so that way it's not being ducked down so much. So it's more of a smoother kind of sway side to side. In the pan, I didn't really do. Did I do anything? Yeah, no. The panning is centered, but it's still pushing everything outwards a little bit. But as you see, it kind of follows through the pattern here, so it stays consistent with the rest of the tune. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I wish I could go over the faceplant patch with you guys, but maybe one of these days when I get it up and working, I'll revisit some of these patches and projects and stuff. But yeah, still pretty cool, pretty awesome. Yeah, and then after that, we just kind of give it a little outro here towards the end, just a straight cut right off of it.
The teleporter sent me back in time.
What? Another one bites the dust. Oh yeah, another one gone. Another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Oh yeah. Ooh, we kicked your ass, bitch. Get down with your bad self.
Man, I love it. Such a fun tune. Such a fun tune. And by the way, this is out already on the Wook Wood EP, out on all platforms. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. But since we only are in about an hour in, fam, we're gonna keep going, and I'm gonna showcase another tune and kind of break it down a little more for you guys. So let me go ahead and get that queued up while we're loading here. Let me also do this. Right back over to Ableton. Here we are. We're back. We're better than ever. So yeah, this doesn't have a name yet. I'm still kind of just figuring out what to do with it. Yeah, interesting enough. But yeah, fam. Without further ado, let's go ahead. Actually, before we do anything, let's go ahead and free some of these tracks just to make it a little easier for us here. Please, pardon the wait, please, fam. This takes a minute sometimes. So what I'm doing is I'm freezing the arrangement so that way it kind of takes less CPU. So it plays a little smoother. Or at least that's the idea. But we'll still get through it. We'll still get through it. Come on. Work for me, Ableton. Please. Do well. Do good. Domain. To my Twitch audience out there, to the chat, hope everybody's doing well. Hope y'all stay alive. Hope y'all enjoying this episode of Breakdown. Hope y'all been well. Hope y'all had a great weekend as well. I know I already said that earlier, but yeah, hope everybody had a great weekend. I know we had the 4th and everything, even though it kind of felt weird celebrating the 4th, freedom and Independence Day, even though there's shit going down. That's just like, what the fuck, America? But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. What are you gonna do, right? Well, I mean, I'm gonna be here working on music and shit. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a little smoke break, a little chill out break while we take a listen to this track here, entitled ID, for the Twitch. At least that's what this project file is called. So yeah, fingers crossed that it also plays pretty smoothly. my favorite part right here. Ah, such a fun tune. I love this tune. I might release it soon, actually. Fuck it. This might be a next original once I get it finished. But we'll see. So we already kind of broke down and created the first half together on Twitch. So we're kind of going to go ahead and just kind of continue off where we left off and kind of finish it off, right? But I'll go ahead and break down the sound design here, just so those of y'all who haven't seen it or haven't checked it out yet, y'all get a kind of a crash course. So what we did here is I found this kind of underwater synth thing here in Ableton, right? But what I did originally was I copied it, but what I did was lower this by a whole octave and EQ'd it out, just so you kind of barely get the lower undertones, right? So underneath that you have, kind of bring that up a little bit. There we go. So you kind of have that like undertone along with this, so that way it sounds more whole, right? Sounds a lot more fuller. And then layered on top of that, we have this little kind of bell piano type of thing. The original clip sounds like here. This is the original clip here. But I just kind of chopped it up into the two part and left it as is. And that's how. Oh, and then I brought it down. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Let me put this back over here, here, here. This is the original. So I was like, all right, that's cool. It's in key. It's perfect. But I don't want that. I don't want it super dreamy. So I was like, let's see about stretching it. So we stretched it out as so, right? By just clicking this button here to stretch it out times 2. That's down 2, down 2 again, up 2, up 2. So we have it right here. So that was it, right? That's right there. But I'm like, not quite. So I switched the warping to texture and essentially dropped it down a whole octave. And I was like, cool. With the pad, it's starting to sound better. But what if we dropped it another octave? So we dropped it down 24 semitones, which is 2 octaves. And that's it. That's literally everything that we had to do to that. Beautiful, right? Something super, super simple. But there's more processing going on here. So we kind of grouped all this together. And here is where here's where everything's at work here. So we have an EQ here, kind of pushing everything down and making it a little more softer, a little more gentler in the mix. But the main texture, the main tonality that you're hearing is coming from this plugin here called Mishby. Mishby is an acronym for Maybe I Shouldn't Have Built You. M-I-S-H-B-Y. Maybe I Shouldn't Have Built You. It's a plugin from Freak Show Industries. Super fucking powerful, super awesome stuff here. So this right here is kind of like a lo-fi-esque kind of tape distortion, vinyl distortion type of thing. So this is everything that you hear without it. Sounds cool enough, right? But with Mishby turned on the way I have it set up, it just kind of warps it a little bit, just enough. So what I did here is I fucked with this quality knob, and this what gives it. This is kind of like the dry to wet knob here. So I have it a little bit over a quarter, just enough to kind of bring it in. Gave it some distortion, gave it some noise. Don't know what the DLTA stands for. I'm assuming Delta. But I have this here. This is the rainbow stuff here. I have it turned up to here. The rate was originally down here, but I just turned it up to about here, as is. And then this right here, this is kind of like a desync multi-band compressor type of thing. So the mids here controls the bats, the highs control the lightning, and then the lows control the fire. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. And then we also have the nice thing here, the no to maybe. So this is with the no, and here's with the maybe. Weird, right? This thing is super awesome. I've been loving this thing. But the main thing that we have going on with Mishby is this lever right here. So what this lever does, it basically kind of I don't even know how to describe it, but it just gives us this weird kind of breakdown. Right? Like, that's super fucking cool. So we automated that though, right? Let me get the automation. So what we did here was we brought up the automation for the self-care, which is that little lever that I pull down. And then we also, where's the automation for the dry? What, dude? The hell? Oh, I didn't copy it over. I'm an idiot. Ha. That's why it sounded funny. Okay. That's much better. Okay. I was like, why does it sound so weird all of a sudden? Alright. So what we did here is we just automated the self-care knob, which lever, which is that lever that I pulled down earlier. Right? And then all I did was just mess with the dry and wet knob mix knob on my Ableton delay that I made here. So on the last part, yeah. And then we have our drums here, as always. And then right here, see how you kind of hear the reverb kind of build up as the rest of the kicks build up. This is a bass clef's easy washout, and literally all you need to do is just use this fucking knob here. And with this knob, this kind of gives it that little reverb, kind of rise build type of vibe to it. So this is with it off. And then underneath here, just to kind of give everything like more meat, more texture, more context, what I did is I rendered out excuse me, I rendered out the sub audio into an actual audio clip, so I have that layered in with everything. Alright, so let's go ahead and break down the sound design. I'm not going to break down the vital patch here because we kind of designed it, went into it, and broke it and explained it in the first session, which again is on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out. Also, while you're out there, don't forget to subscribe, subscribe on my shit. Premium content, premium content. You know how we do. But we'll go ahead and just explain this one because this is the main patch that you're gonna hear, that you heard mostly throughout. So this is a super fucking simple patch here. It's just a basic shape on oscillator A, and the medicine hat here, PWM medicine hat here on oscillator B. LFO1 is just set to the level knob and the wavetable position here on oscillator B, and the second one is just set to the sync knob on oscillator B, and that's literally it. And we just have this little we have this filter here. Cutoff is at the middle. This knob is what is this? The filter resonance is down. Pan's at the center. No drive, and the mix is up all the way. Literally nothing too crazy, nothing too simple. Nothing too crazy. It's just pretty simple. That's what I meant. Blah, blah, blah. So that's the main sound that we have. up here. Simple, standard kind of rhythm, wonk, wop type of thing. But then what we have down here is we have this serum patch here that I made called Frog, because it's literally like a frog. So with the hold on. So this is all right. Now that I found the right register, this is the whole patch itself. Normally, it's supposed to be, where is it here? Yo, Dev, welcome in. Enjoy the pizza. Welcome in, buddy. Thanks for lurking. But that's originally how the patch is supposed to go. But I sped it up a little bit to half just to kind of get that true quarter note out. You see? So, again, using Debussy. Oh god, I hate that I fucking use that so much. I need to stop. I kind of have like this weird pattern, weird kind of square triangle thing that I drew. Excuse me. And then as you see here, with the noise, with the electric bubbles noise again being used here, because I don't know why Debussy and electric bubbles just kind of go hand in hand for me. I don't fucking know why. Debussy. Don't mind me. So LFO1, the shape here, but mainly just this wonk shape here. This is being sent to the pitch and the level knob of the noise coming through, which kind of gives it that weird warbly sound. We also have it sent to the wavetable position just a little bit here, the PWM warp here, and the level knob almost full, and with the warp knob a little bit under half. A little bit on the warp here as well. The warp here we have sync to half window. We dropped both wavetables down an octave, and then I also dropped this 5 semitones just to give it that nice voicing that we hear. And then I also put it on the filter cutoff here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Effects. There we go. I also have it a little bit towards 3/4 on the distortion drive, as well as the depth on the phaser. And then also, as you see here, on the cutoff of the filter effects here. As you see, it goes from the center here out to top to back to middle. Pretty cool, simple, but still kind of in depth, if you will. And then I also have macros here that I could always play with, like the low pass filter. You know, we also have all the way up, which does this. And that's really just the delay, really. Cool, right? But all I did really was just turn the phaser up here. Froggy. And then this audio here. What is this here? What was this? This was another serum patch. I forgot what patch this was. Chris, yeah. Is this a patch that I made? Oh, I think I think it was originally here, but I swapped it out when I brought in the frog patch. Right. Oh yeah, I didn't even go over the frogs patches processing. Wow. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So with the frog patch, we just did a weird low shelf here to kind of cut out all the low end frequencies, so that way we have more room for our sub bass. Because the thing is with this song, just to remind you guys, this song is in the key of B flat major, and normally when you're writing bass music in B flat major, normally it doesn't really work. Just because if you're using the root note of B flat, not B flat major, B flat minor, excuse me, B flat minor. I forgot because I have two songs in B flat. I was working on the other one today. With B flat minor, on the sub registry with like the low end frequency sounds, like your sub bass and all that, it doesn't really have that much power. But with what we did is we kind of gave it power by just simple EQing. And then once I push it through mixing and mastering, it'll sound a lot better. Trust me. Yeah. So what I did for so every time when I'm processing and post processing my synths for a lot of my drops, normally what I do is basically cut off everything that's in here, so that way there's more space for it to be pushed through if it doesn't have that sub power. And then when it does have, and then when I push it through by giving it more power through the sub on the low end frequencies, you'll hear it a lot more and you'll be able to feel it a lot more versus what you're hearing and feeling now. But yeah, that's what mixing and mastering's for. So after that, I brought in an OTT. I cut down more of the low end frequencies because what OTT does is it pushes. OTT is a multi-band compressor type of thing that, if I remember correctly, but what it does, it pushes the signals that you initially cut off that you don't want through more. Since I cut out a lot of the low end frequencies, it was going to push it out more. So I had to cut it out so that way it doesn't come through as much. And then what I did is I kind of balanced out the mids and the highs so that way it's a little more in unison, if that makes sense. Yeah, right. Trying to remember where else I was at. I'm also getting like simultaneous like notifications on my computer too, so I'm like, who, what? Oh, right, cool, awesome. So after, oh wait, no, I'm an idiot. I didn't play the right sound. This is what we're talking about. This song, the froggy sound. So after the OTT, but yeah, also with OTT, always have your time knob turned up to 1,000%. Not 10%. Not here. Not here. Not here. Fucking all the fucking way. Full send that bitch. Just a time. Yeah. So after that, I threw in a glue compressor. Basically, as it says, just a gentle limiter. Just a range of 3 decibels, just to kind of make sure it stays within a certain range, so that way it's not being pushed too much. After that, I put on a saturator just to give it more color. And the saturator is how I always have it on, soft clip, always on. I gave it a 2 decibel drive with the medium curve, with the output at -5 decibels and the dry wet ratio at 75%. And then after that, we threw in a Shaper Box 2. And what Shaper Box 2 is doing here, as you see, is essentially pushing the wobs through as you see the rhythm here. So if you look closely, the pink is where the signal is mainly at. But if you see the soft pink up here, like if you saw the soft pink kind of on the top, that's where it's being pushed to now. So all I'm doing is just making that signal whiter in the stereo field, so that way it's just stretched out just a little bit, just a smidge. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For the sound here, I already had to post-process completely differently. I wish I still had the fucking patch up. I'm a fucking idiot. But it's all good. But it also helps you when you do it this way sometimes. It also helps you when you're trying to save CPU space. As you see, just by sitting here streaming with you guys, it's already writing at like 20, 30, 45%, sometimes for 45%. Granted, that's just because I'm also streaming as well, but these plugins take up a lot of space sometimes, especially when you're using a lot of them. Yeah, true. So, yeah. Anyways, back to business. Yeah, that's pretty much it right here as you hear. And then 5 audio. What the hell is this? I haven't touched this in a few days, so I'm like, what is this? Ah, okay. So these two patches are the same. But what I did here for the Vital patch is this kind of has a little more low end frequency, so this is the only one that kind of has a little more girth in the stereo field. As you see, I didn't even turn down the lows all the way. I kind of just left them as this to kind of push them a little more, push the output a little more, put a gentle limiter, and then put on a soothe. And with soothe, all you really need to worry about is the big knob. That's really it. There's a really big knob on it. You can't miss it. But yeah, you just need to worry about that knob. I can show you right here. So this sound here, what is this? What is this? The fuck was this? Where is this from? Some D sharp, some weird long thing. I wonder, was that from? Ah, it was. So this sound right here. This is a teaser of my sample pack that I'm working on. So that sound you hear is the sound you see here, called some weird wonk thing. So this, amongst all of these here, and these folders here featuring full bass loops, full drums and drum hits, effects, and tonal loops as well, such as a whole bunch of cool stuff, and also including my signature sub bass rack here. So it's coming on the way, guys. Totally forgot I had this in there. So surprise! I'm working on the sample pack, coming to you guys very, very, very soon. So definitely be on the lookout for that stuff. It's gonna be awesome. Gonna be some sick stuff in there. Still working on it. Still adding some stuff in there. Probably gonna be adding some presets in there as well. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, surprise. So yeah, that's kind of what I have here for this track. That sound here. So perfect that I have this here. Excuse me, because I can explain what I'm doing. What soothe is mainly, what you need to mainly know about using soothe. But it's super simple. So what I did here was I took the wonks. Let's go ahead and break it down a little more, and essentially lined them up with these wonks here to kind of give them a little more texture. Cool, right? So what I did here is I EQ'd it to kind of cut off a little more of the low frequencies, but still maintain its integrity as far as like a low frequency sound. And then here is where we bring in Soothe. Soothe is going to pop up right here. Oh, it's popping up right there in front of me. I was like, why is it blending into my screen? Because I'm a fucking idiot. It popped up right here. So really, the only thing you really gotta understand about using Soothe is this red little notch here. You drag it wherever necessary. I normally kind of have it right here. And the depth. And really that's doing is how much processing is applied. Higher values results in higher cuts. So it's essentially cutting everything out in here and keeping everything in here. So it's keeping all that mid-range to mid-high frequencies in here. And then I just put a gentle limiter on it, and that is it. Yeah, that's pretty much everything there. And then this sound here, all these clips is basically rendered audio of this patch up here, but at the what note is this? Excuse me. At the F sharp. So it goes. So this note that you hear is this clip right here. And then so after that you hear what I did here is I basically just put 3 of them together to kind of get that little triplet effect. And then we kind of play with the flow pattern here to kind of give it more variance. So. So yeah, that's the those are all the synths there for the drop and the flow pattern and how everything's kind of done right there. And then the sub here, let's see where we go back. All right, so as you see, the sub the original sub was up here, and then we have the switch up here for the F sharp when it drops down to F sharp. So what we did differently on this sub channel here was, where is this sent to? Where is this sent to first off? So I chained with 2 serum, 3 audio. What is that? 8 audio? So this sub channel here is channel 12. Everything is the same as the other 2. The only thing is that I sent it to this audio channel here. So what's different is that the threshold is lowered, as well as the hold. The release is still the same, as well as the Pro Q3. The Pro Q3 is a little weird, as you see. But it's just the right amount of sub-frequency that we want with everything, right? So when we have the sub and the synth soloed out, Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys get the gist of it at this point. But yeah, that's the only thing that's really different. It just goes from a new A section into a longer B section. Damn near. No, yeah, just about the same, if not a little longer. But still fun, still pretty bouncy, still pretty vibey. Still needs some work though, like a lot of work. But it's getting there. And the drums are pretty much the same as we heard. So what I've been doing lately for drum processing, been kind of switching up and learning a lot of new shit. Especially being mentored by a couple people, which is pretty fun, pretty helpful as well. Excuse me. But what I've been doing lately is I shout out to Ray Volpe for the kick pack, by the way. So we got a kick Ray Volpe kick here. That's in key. So we have it set, we have the kick at the note F, which gives us this sound here. And then all we did here, come on, here we are, was just EQ it as such. You get a shelf cut off here. There it is. That's why it's coming in at F. So we have the shelf here at about D, at about 36. Still keeping some of the low end frequencies, but still keeping that room for that sub, right? But still giving that boom. And then we also have a shelf here at about 2.5 kilohertz, almost 3 kilohertz, about 3. Just kind of cutting out some of the high end frequencies just to make more room for our claps and hi-hats. So as you see, there's duplicate kicks here. So this kick is being sidechained to the subgroup here. See how this says 9 sub bass? So this kick, same processing and everything, damn near, but it's being sidechained to the kick, so that way, while the kick is being sidechained, it's making room for the kick and the clap to come in clearly. That's why when you hear it, the drums are coming through decently. Not there yet, but decently. And then right here, we have 2 company claps from company's drum kit. We get this little clap here. It's a nice little sexy son of a bitch. It's a nice little low end one. Nice little low layer. And then we have it layered with this top part here. So when you have both of them together, it's just nice, right? So when you have the kick on, and then here's where the punchiness kind of comes in through, as you heard it. Oop. So there's these little squares here that allow you to kind of warp the entrance and the tail, right? So I have it set to straight, and this is what's it's warping and kind of automating the transients kind of coming in. So notice how I have both claps kind of slowly and smoothly brought in after the initial hit of the kick. That's to give it that extra punchiness with everything else. That's how we get that little. See what I mean? That kind of helps it there. And then really with both claps, they're just EQ differently. Just a shelf making room for the kick and for the sub, and that's really good. And then on top of the whole group itself, we have Flux's Bittersweet V3, and what this is, it's basically just a transient shaper. So we sweetened up the transients and kind of, which in turn kind of gives it a little more gain in and when we have the mode here set to center, because you want your drums always in the center of your mix, while everything else, your drums, your kick, snare, your claps, your hi-hats, your percussion, your basses, and your vocals always have to be right there in the middle, whereas everything else kind of has to sandwich it all together. So I have it set to center, so that way, you know, it recognizes that the everything is kind of dead set in the center of the stereo space, and it's just basically kind of pushing it, giving it, sweetening up the transients to kind of push it through the mix a little bit. As you see, it's severely clipping, but we'll get into how that's still coming out clean here in a second. And then layered on top of all the drums, we have this little hi-hat, top loop hi-hat from the Subtronics pack here. And all we did is just EQ it to here at about 200 hertz, and left it as is, and then just drop the volume down a little bit so that way it's not too loud in the mix. But we could always drop it a little more if we need to. But that's what we have here. And then we're going to turn the sub back on just so you can hear it all. We're going to turn the sub back on just so you can kind of hear it all together, with the sub being sidechained with the ghost kick channel on the top here on channel 14. So let's turn it off so you can kind of hear the difference. So there's not much of a difference really, but those who've been producing for a minute or know music production or just have that ear can be able to tell. But the kick and the whole drum set, as far as the kick and the claps go, is competing with the signal of the sub. So when I turn the sidechain on, back on from the gate, it's gonna basically close the signal of the sub for the duration of the kick, as you see. So this meter here, this is the signal of the sub bass that you hear. So every time that opens up, that's when the kick is coming in. Excuse me again, dear Lord. So with that, when this thing comes down, as you saw, as it comes down, that's when the kick is coming in. So as you see, this is duplicating the kick, it's also opening up the space for the claps to come through. So that's how the drums punch through the mix even more, because everything else, as far as the synth, the actual bass synths go for the drop, is essentially already sidechained, just because it's a wop 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 wop. So with that signal acting as such, there's already room for the kick and the snare, the kicks and your claps and the drums to come through. So really, you're just essentially needing to sidechain your drums so that way so it comes through all together as the same. So when you hear everything as is, you see, even on the one, and then on the clap too. It's punching through perfectly through the synths, through the sub, all that good shizzle. But yeah, that's pretty much it right there. And then after the drop, we just go back into the intro synths and all that. But what we did is we took, I rendered out the sub bass line for the switch up towards the end. and chopped it up and played around with the arrangement, and then went back into the original synth sub-synth for the drop. Oh yeah, I need to fix that over here. There we go. Ha. But yeah, that's the whole ID right there, fam. That's the whole shebang. That's the whole shapoople. But yeah, this thing is coming soon, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll post more teasers and more info on it as we get closer to it, though, for sure. I may even stream me cleaning up and working on it as we get closer and closer to that time. Anyways, we'll see, though. We shall see. But yeah, that's basically the whole idea that I started a few weeks ago here on Twitch, and that's pretty much the full complete arrangement. But like I said, there still needs a lot of work. A lot of EQing still needs to be done. There still needs to be a lot more transitional elements in there, because there's a lot of just sharp cuts and sudden cutouts. So we're gonna work on that and put more of that stuff in there. But we'll definitely do that on Twitch together, so that way you guys can see the whole process of how my songs get essentially finished, completed, mixed down, mastered, and all that good shizzle. Yo, thank you so much for watching this episode. Really appreciate it, guys. If you haven't already, go check out Springwood Slasher. Link to the song will be in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Much love, everybody. Peace out.